This video is going to talk about section 7.2, which is working with rational expressions and equations. We're going to start by reviewing how to multiply fractions. So when you have two fractions, you do the top times the top, and then the bottom times the bottom, and then you simplify if you can. So for this first one, we would do 3 times 4 and get 12, and 7 times 5 and get 35. And those don't have any common factors, so it's already as simplified as it can get. If you have a whole number, to make it a fraction, you just write 2 over 1, like that. And then you multiply across. So 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. And those are both divisible by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this last one. One is the same thing we've been doing. I just showed you. 4 times 7 is 28. And 21 times 8 is 168. And those are both divisible by, let's say, 7. So if I divide the top by 7, I get 4. And if I divide the bottom by 7, I get 24. Those are both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 12. Those are still divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there's one way to do it. You can keep going until you get to the smallest possible fraction. Another way is to reduce first. So 4 and 8 are both divisible by 4. And we have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So we can reduce early. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. We can do the same thing with the 7 and 21. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Now multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. It's up to you which way you do it. They will both get you the same answer. Dividing. Same idea. The only difference is you're going to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So it just means flip it over. Put the bottom on the top on the bottom. So if we were to rewrite this one way I remember it is you keep the first fraction, you change the sign to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. So keep, change, flip. Then you have to multiply straight across, just like before. 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 5 is 15, and that doesn't reduce. So the next fraction, same thing. First, we need to make the second number a fraction. Then we keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip the second, multiply across. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 8 is 40. Those are both divisible by 4, so we get 1/10. Let's try one more. Keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction. If I wanted to reduce first, 8's divisible by 2 and 10 is divisible by 2. 3 is divisible by 3 and 9 is divisible by 3. Then multiply across. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. We're left with 4/15. The same rules apply when you're doing a rational expression. So it doesn't matter if it's numbers or letters, the same rules apply. If you have something on the top and the bottom, you can cancel. You still multiply straight across. So if I were to do this one, I would get 3 times 2x minus 5 on the top and x times x minus 1 on the bottom. That's as far as we can go. Nothing else factors, so we stop there. This is in what we call factored form. So if you factor everything down to the smallest you can get it, A, it's a lot easier to simplify, and B, that's the best way to have the answers. So it's a win-win. Let's try this one. Multiply straight across. We would get x minus 1 times x plus 3. Multiply the bottom straight across. We would get 4x times x minus 1. We have an x minus 1 on the top and the bottom. So when we simplify those by canceling them out, we end up with x plus 3 over 4x. Now let's say the ones we start with aren't factored already. We're going to factor them first. This top one's a difference of squares. So the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4 is 2. So it would be x plus 2, x minus 2. So we can rewrite this as those purple ones there. Then we multiply straight across. So we have x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 3 on the top. On the bottom, we have the x plus 3 and the x plus 2. Simplify the 2 and the 3 that are on there, and all we're left with is x minus 2. That would be the solution. This one here, first we're going to factor the top and the bottom. So if I factor this one, actually, yeah, I'm going to factor this one first just so I can write it. So it's going to be 4 over something. So if I tic-tac-toe, I have 1, 3, 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. Greatest common factor. Multiply up, multiply across. And then these would be x plus 1, x plus 2. Now we're going to multiply. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to factor this one. I'll do that over. So we have 1, 2, 1. 1 times 1. 1, 1, 1. These are all 1s. So that would be x plus 1, x plus 1. And then 8 on the bottom. And just like before, we can do the multiplying first or we can do the canceling first. But we have x plus 1 on the top and bottom. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then we just write what we're left with. So we have x plus 1 over 2 times x plus 2. Again, division is the same thing. You just have to flip the second one before you multiply. So try these, factor them, multiply across, reduce, see how you do, and then come back and check. So I'm going to do this first one here, make some room. Doesn't look like I need to factor anything. So we keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction. Then we reduce. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Then we multiply across. 1 times x minus 4 is x minus 4. 2 times 2x is 4x. And that's our answer. Okay, this next one. This is a difference of squares, so we can rewrite it as x plus 3, x minus 3. This one looks the same, but it has a plus, which means we can't factor it. There is no sum of squares shortcut, so we leave it like that. Change the problem to multiplication. And if that was a fraction, it would become 1 over x minus 3. Then we can simplify by canceling out what's the same. On the top, we're left with x plus 3. On the bottom, we're left with x squared plus 4. All right, let's try this last problem. This top one, those are both divisible by x. So I'm just going to factor out an x, and we're left with x squared minus 1. The bottom, if I tic-tac-toe, we have 1, negative 2, which means I need a negative 2 and a 1. Greatest common factor. Multiply up, multiply across, circle, so we get x plus 1, and, oh, that didn't work, x minus 2. Change the division to multiplication, flip the second fraction, and then cancel. So we have an x on the top and x on the bottom. X minus 2 on top, x minus 2 on the bottom. We're left with x minus 1 and x plus 1. Now, the biggest thing to pay attention to is when you're canceling a binomial, it has to be the whole thing that matches because that's the term that's getting multiplied. That's the factor. It can't just be the x part. You have to do the whole binomial. So that is 7.2. Let me know if you have any questions.